Hi and welcome to the Q&A session today with myself and Gayatri Wood. Hi Gayatri, how you doing?
Hi, great. Thanks. It's great to be here.
Yeah, cool. So we're going to be talking about social media today. Thanks to everyone for coming along. Just a bit of housekeeping before we get started. If you've got any questions for Gayatri, it's a Q&A session, so we want to hear your questions. Please fire them into the question window. Otherwise, we've got a few questions that have already been asked pre-webinar. Um, but if you have any technical questions as well, like if your sound or visuals are struggling a little bit, fire those into the question window as well, and we'll do our best to try and get you sorted out. But let's get into it. So this is the one of the final sessions of Month of Marketing, which is wrapping up tomorrow with a session. We'll give you details of that at the end. But you'll be able to get a recording of this session on monthofmarketing.com if you miss it, and you'll see all the other recordings in there as well. So let's get into it anyway. We've got a whole bunch of questions has come in already. So I am just gonna go and find those. Just bear with me, Gayatri. I'll just
No
pull up
worries.
these questions. So first question I've got here is there a minimum number of followers that you need on social media, and does that vary between the different social media sites?
Good question. Yes and no. So you obviously do need a few followers or fans or likes to have your page going, to know that your content's getting out there and you're like able to engage with people. But in the same token, I think when people really focus on numbers of followers or fans or likes, can become a bit of a vanity metric. And what I mean by that is they're not looking at whether those people are actually engaged in what they're saying. It's better to have 20, 30, 40 followers that really like your content, are reading it, are responding to it, than to have 1,000 and no one's really paying attention to you. So in a way, yes, they do. I would say most people can easily get around 50 followers in the first couple of months, or 50 fans, between 50 and 100, between kind of clients that you know, your network, friends and family that may be interested in the business that you're doing, people that, if you're using any type of software, people that you know through those industries, any leads or prospects. So if you start to kind of tally up those, you can definitely get a good base level. Anything above that, I think, is a bonus. And as your content goes and as you're being responded to well, you will naturally grow. But I wouldn't put it as the only kind of the great metric to be looking at.
What would, just following on from that then, what would be some good metrics to be measuring, or to be looking at?
I always look at, if you're sharing content with a link, always tracking that link. You can use a service like Bitly that does that for you. If you look at social media scheduling tools, a lot of them have that within the tool to make it really nice and easy. So I'd look at who's actually clicking through on that link, because that gives you a really good idea of different types of content and what's been responding to. Also, alongside that, you can have a look at the times that you're posting, and say, for example, if all your posts in the morning are the ones that are getting clicked through, you now know that, hey, a lot of your audience are responding to you in the morning, and if you've got something really important that you want to share, that's a really good time to post it. I'd also look at engagement and shares and comments. So are people liking it or retweeting it? Are they commenting on it? Also, you can do a search for, if it's, say, a blog that you're sharing, or a piece of content of your own, you can search for that URL on social media as well, to see if people are sharing it without letting you know, or without tagging you in. that's another really good way. And then I'd also look at the demographics of your followers and their geographic region. So are they in the right location? Are they the right age group? Are they, you know, from particular industry sectors? You can see that on Facebook as well. Just to really gauge that you've got the right audience engaging with your content and following you.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, one thing that certainly we found at Bizink with social media is really the engagement part is far more powerful than, you know, sharing content is like, it's got a big place in social media, but there's a lot of people doing that. But obviously, like, you know, if you get a conversation going and maybe there's several people in there that don't necessarily have to have followed you, but some of those could be, like, say, influential people or people you want to get in front of, that to me is a lot more valuable than, like, you know, likes or someone, you know, or followers. To me is that actual engagement with people, you know, where they're commenting and you're talking to them.
Absolutely, and even starting that engagement yourself with clients and prospects, really simple to kind of like manage lists of clients and prospects. And if you see something great that they're doing, or whether it's a piece of content they shared, they've just reached a milestone in their business, starting that engagement by simply saying congratulations, or I really liked what you shared. I don't think enough weight is put on that as well, because it's such an easy thing to do. It takes a matter of seconds, and it gives, you know, that client or prospect a really good feeling about your engagement, and that you're taking note of them and you're wanting to engage with them on platforms that they're already visible on as well.
Yeah, I mean, we've had this discussion before, and I feel like people have focused too much on the media part of social media and just used it as another publishing platform. Whereas I think for me personally, I feel what's really powerful about it is actually the social part. So that, you know, for me, you know, if someone, you know, if I've got 100 likes on a piece of content, okay, that's quite good. But if I got like 10 comments, that would be far more valuable to me, or like 2 comments from the right people or whatever. What do you think, that's sort of the right way to look at it?
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a definite weighting on types of engagement. So, you know, like you said there, someone actually taking time out of their day to comment or reshare it is always really good, because that's an action that they've actually taken and they want to share it with their audience and they want to like comment on it and give you feedback. I think that's a really heavy weighting and a really good indication, especially if it's from the right type of client or the right type of potential client you're trying to attract. And then, you know, a like it's quite easy to do. So I would say that's still great, because someone's saying that they virtually what it is like your content, and that they've obviously read it. But I would always say, you know, someone that goes that step further is a really good weighting on a good piece of content or a good conversation.
Yeah, great. So you mentioned, you know, for example, liking, or sorry, not liking, like, you know, making a, you know, mentioning a milestone that a client had got. Other sort of little things like that you would say people, you know, accountants and bookkeepers should have in their toolkit in terms of different types of post or engagement on social media? You know, they could go, here's a checklist of things, and should try and do, you know, 2 or 3 of these every week.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's actually, when you think about it, it can actually be a lot easier than people think. I think people seem to have like this really big idea that it's really daunting and really hard to do and a bit scary, sort of putting yourself out there. And it's really not. You can think of these things really easily. Like if you look through your client base and directors' birthdays, company birthdays, those are something really that's really easy to kind of schedule in, have a calendar set up, notifies you, so you don't even have to try and remember, it just pops up. Especially if you're like me and useless with dates, it's a really nice way to have like a shared marketing calendar. Anything like, say you've got specific industries that you cater to, if there's any specific dates that warrant, you know, a tweet out or something for your clients, maybe it's annual awards, industry news. It could be like nice quirky little things like, say for example, it was retail, when was the first till invented, or something like that. Or if you know that there's specific industry reports that come out marking those dates, that makes it really nice and easy. Also, if you've got clients that put out their own content, I would always recommend signing up for notifications from their blogs, their newsletters, also any other industry news that's relevant to your clients as well. If you don't want your inbox overloaded, it's a really good idea to kind of just set up a separate email, whether it's, you know, marketing at abcagency.com, whatever it may be, and get everything in there. And it just makes it a really nice way to go in that inbox, and you've got a nice clump of content there that you can engage with and easily put out, and you know is of relevance to your clients. Or a third thing is set up Google Alerts for your clients as well, especially if they're doing their own press releases, they're in the media, they're doing their own blogs. Again, you can send that to one centralized email address, and that just automatically will populate in any alerts for that specific client. So if you see someone's in the news, a great thing to share that and say, you know, congratulations, Matt, great to see that you're on, you know, Channel 3 last week. Great work, keep it up. Takes all of 20 seconds to do, but for them, noticing that and taking that time and effort is a really big, you know, it's just a really nice thing to do and a really nice way to engage as well.
Yeah, definitely. We'll include things to like Google Alerts in the follow-up email as well, so we can give a bit more information on how those things work. But like you say, it takes a couple of minutes to set up, and then you get notified whenever a certain business gets mentioned on the web or in the news. But I think that's, yeah, to sort of underline what we've just been talking about there, I think it's that effort part there. You said it, you know, it's very easy to like something or whatever, which, you know, is not to say don't do that stuff, but it's because it's so easy, it's obviously not as valuable. If you take that bit of effort to do something which is clearly personalized, then it's you know, it holds that much more weight than, yeah, just clicking like. So I think that's an important lesson on social media. Well, just while we're talking about followers, I had a question in a webinar session that I was doing yesterday. Somebody asked, should they email their clients and ask them to follow them on social media? I said yes. What do you think?
It just depends how you do it. I think there's two ways. A lot of people, it's quite common to include a link to your social media profiles in your email signature. Really popular, kind of makes it a subliminal way for people to be able to follow you, whether they're prospects, networks, whoever you're engaging with through email. If you want to bump up your followers, I would do it in the way of saying like, hey Matt, not sure if you realize we're on Twitter and Facebook. Posting out some content, would really love your feedback on what you like, or whether there's anything you'd like to see on us share in our social profiles that would be useful to you and your business. Doing it some way like that, you're effectively asking them to do exactly the same thing. They're going to go to your social media profile. If they're on social media, they're going to follow you. But it makes it more of a dialogue, and, you know, in the process, you're quite likely to get some good feedback from a couple of them saying, you know, hey, love it, or would be really great if you shared some stuff about ABCD. And that's invaluable feedback for you to know and to be able to help target that content and engage with your clients and prospects more effectively.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Okay, so moving on to a bit of a different topic. Somebody asked, what is the best software for managing social media?
Really depends on two things. So first of all, what you want that management software to do for you, and secondly, how much you want to spend, because there's tools out there that range from being free to being, you know, $500, $600, $700 or pounds a month. So it's really up to kind of your goals and what you'd like to achieve. There's things from Buffer that have free plans and Hootsuite, through to, you know, I know you're a fan of Edgar, and there's something similar with SmartQ. I quite like Sprout Social, but I like the density of the reporting, and it integrates with your website, with your Google Analytics and stuff, and you can stream that through. So it just really depends. If you're looking for something quite lightweight, that you're just wanting to schedule things out with you wanting to do over, you know, a couple of different profiles, nice and easy, I say you can't really go past Buffer. It's free up to a certain amount of scheduled tweets or posts per week. It's got inbuilt analytics, so you can see who's clicking on the link and stuff. It's got a web browser capacity, so if you see something that you like online, you can click on the browser connection and it'll automatically set it up as a tweet or a post for you. So that, I would say, is at the really, really lightweight end of the scale. If you're wanting something where you've got more than one person inputting, you're wanting people, say, you've got an executive in the team or an admin person that you want to kind of line up the tweets, and you want to go in and or someone else have approved them before they send, and you're wanting to kind of look at analytics through to your website and track kind of different words online, I'd say Sprout Social is one of the best I've seen do that. And then everywhere in between has great features. It just depends with what your goals are and what aligns with what you would like and what you would require, and also personal preference as well. Some people prefer the user interface of some tools over others. So all of them have free trials as well. So I would say have a look at the features, have a look at what you would like, the price point, and take a couple of trials out and see what works best for you.
Yeah, definitely. I think social media, I mean, like say email marketing software, they all do the same thing, and it really comes down to user interface is generally what you like about it. The social tools are definitely quite different, and I've used most of those ones you've talked about there, but they all do quite different things in quite a different way. So it definitely does depend on your preference of what you know, how involved you want to be and all that kind of thing. So definitely worth checking out. But yeah, they do all have free trials, don't they? So you can get accustomed with them before jumping in.
And most of them also do free webinars as well, like around best use and stuff, which even if you're not going to use the product, some of them are really good, especially Sprout Socials. I would recommend if you're interested in checking those out. But they're all pretty good at getting you used to the tools and helping you out along the way as well, so you're not left to fend for yourself.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. I'd say all of those ones we've talked about, actually, Sprout, Buffer, Hootsuite, all publish pretty good content. So educational content as well, quite good blogs. So it can be worth signing up for that kind of stuff as well.
Definitely. I probably, Sprout Social would be one of the companies I would read their blogs weekly, which there's not very many I would say that I do.
Yeah, for sure. So kind of related to that, somebody's asking, can they automate their social media marketing?
Depends how you mean automate. So there are definitely some aspects you can automate in terms of posting content, scheduling that, scheduling some forms of engagement. So for example, birthdays, dates, things like that you know about clients that you have set in advance. You can easily use a scheduling tool to either, with its own software, be able to select the best time within a time frequency to send that for you, or you can schedule for an exact time and date that you would like that to go. So that, in terms of you can automate, there is also, you would know this better than me, the really cool feature in Bizink where if you use their blog pack, you can automatically schedule when that blog's published to be posted on social media as well. So I think that's really, really cool, and a lot of people don't realize that that's a possibility, and it saves you a lot of time as well and pulls through that image, so it makes it really, really nice. In terms of anything else, I think if you automate too much, you end up seeming robotic and not human, and you lose that social aspect of social media. But if you automate that good base level of content and a variety of content, I find it's easier if you're automating over a week or a month. You can see that you've got a good variety going rather than trying to, rush and do something and realize that you sent out some similar content over the last couple of weeks, and then leave the unautomated aspect up to engaging and thanking people and commenting on clients' posts or tweets or whatnot. I think that sets you up to be successful.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've talked about a tool called Edgar that we use, and I think that what that does is exactly what you said. It's foundational content,
Mm,
stuff that's like evergreen content. So, for example, you're promoting an ebook that you've got, and
mm,
you might want to mention that a few times a week because the theory behind that is that at any given time when you post something, there's only a small fraction of your audience who are ever going to see that.
mm.
So putting it on different times gives it's proven that more people see it. So, but that's foundational content. I think like we talked about at the start of the session was that the real power of social media comes from that engagement part, which you can't automate that human aspect right now.
No, no. And I don't think you should either. I think that's what kind of makes it special. Why people still like, signing a deal over coffee or meeting at some point, or even if it's doing it virtually like this, there's still that human element there that's always going to be popular.
Yeah, because if you take out that human element out of social media, it is just a publishing platform. So it's
Mm.
just a website, or it's just the same as email marketing, it's just another way to distribute content, which the world doesn't need any more content, right? There's like, what is it, like every day there's more content published than whatever it is, the entire rest of history or something like
Yeah.
that. So the reality is the world does not need any more content. But human engagement is never, like you say, that is, we're social animals, and people want that engagement. So that to me is the real power of social media. Like, that's not to say
Absolutely.
the media part of it is really useful, and it is worthwhile, but
Mm,
if you think that you just, and we see this as some firms just think, we'll push out a few blogs onto social media and it's
mm,
done. That's only the foundation. You've got to do that bit on top. But I think that social bit is that's the fun bit, and that's the bit that
agree.
isn't necessarily planned, or you can have that checklist like you talked about, different ways you can spark engagement, but sometimes it's
Mm,
funny how that can just happen. Like, we had a one of our clients got a website from us that had just gone live, and she absolutely loved it and started
mm,
posting it on a very popular bookkeeping Facebook group.
mm.
And then lots of people, oh, your website's great. We got involved in the conversation. Some of those people then came along and wanted a demo. We'll probably sell some websites to them. But, just more than that, it was just a really nice engagement to have. So they're the things that I think are really, from a business point of view, valuable on social media.
So powerful. Yeah, absolutely.
Um, so just sticking on that, actually, Facebook groups. We've got somebody here who's thinking about setting up a Facebook group just for clients.
Mhm.
What do you think about that? And then maybe we can just talk about, Facebook groups in general.
Of course. Um, Facebook groups are fantastic. They're a great way to create engagement because most people, as opposed to, say, a Facebook business page, are on an even keel in terms of being able to engage and respond and share content. And it is called a group for a reason, and a very good one. In terms of having all your clients in, um, yes and no, it can go some ways. If you're calling it sort of your client group, there could be hesitation about being in there and sharing information, and people may thinking that there might be competitors in there, etc. However, say you are popular in a particular industry vertical, if you call it, succeeding for retail businesses or succeeding for hospitality businesses, that's a whole different kettle of fish. It could still be your clients in there, and you're more likely to attract other prospects, especially if your clients are finding really relevant and useful information in there. Sorry, my voice is going a little bit. I'll just take a sip.
Yeah, I should say, Gayatri's struggling through a very sore throat. So she's battling through to be there. And I apologise for my drinking. It's 7 a.m. where I am in New Zealand, so I've been smashing through the black coffee.
You're having the coffee, I'm having the hot toddies.
Yeah, we're different. So Gayatri's based in the UK, so we're at different completely different ends of the day in the world. So yeah.
Yeah, and we swapped locations pretty much. We'll swap countries.
Yeah. So I'm originally from Liverpool in the UK, and Gayatri's from Wellington in New Zealand. So yeah, she's now in
Yeah,
Newcastle, and I'm in South Island in New Zealand.
yeah. I like telling
Yeah,
people that we swapped.
yeah.
So back to the Facebook groups. Yeah, I think if you positioning it towards, say small business tips or industry specific tips, a group that way, and the content's great, you're also more likely to attract people that aren't your clients that information is relevant for, because every accountant knows another accountant, just as every sort of shop owner knows another shop owner. It's like for like in that way. So I think that would be the way to approach it and to get around the client aspect of it, and just setting some house rules as well around it. If there's information that you do or don't want people to share, things you want people to be mindful of, being respectful, the purpose of the group, things like that. Always nice to say whatever is said in this group remains confidential. If you want, confidential advice outside of this, please send us an email or a private message or something of that extent, just to set those parameters and to set people's comfort level as well, so they know what to expect and they know what they're in for, and they know that if a discussion goes in a direction where they would like some really personal advice that relates to their business that they don't want to share, that you're still there to be able to have that conversation with as well.
Yeah, definitely. We've got a Facebook group, Ascend. We'll put the link up in a minute, actually, which is basically a marketing support group for accountants and bookkeepers. And well, just a quick note: we only started that less than 4 months ago, and we've got, I think, 850 people in that group. So we've got some house rules in there, nothing too complicated. Like we don't no selling, that kind of thing in there. So that's the kind of thing you want in there, just some brief rules. And then the thing about them then, if someone, you can set it so that you approve all the posts. And we often get somebody who comes in with some spammy post, we just delete it. We can we say to them, look, you can't post that in the group, or even irrelevant stuff. You want to keep your group focused, right? So, if your group's about retail, and someone comes in and says that they just want, so we get people posting stuff about accounting software in our group, and we just say, look, we're not going to post it because there's better groups for this stuff. It's not the right place. And people are usually quite happy with that. Fair enough. We just want to keep the topic on sales and marketing. That's it. And so don't dilute the group so that people are posting, things that they're not being offensive by it. They just want to do it, but keep it focused. And I guess the way I think of the Facebook group, to get your opinion on this, is it's like having your own networking group that people are coming along to, but you're running the thing. In the end, you don't have to do much running. People are talking to themselves, between themselves, but you're sitting over there in sort of like a expert position, and you've always got that opportunity to talk to people on a business level.
Absolutely, and I think with your own networking group, it also takes the pressure off you always having to start and control the conversation. If you've got a few people in there that say for example, you might have a client that has just implemented a piece of software through you that has reduced, hours of admin or whatever it may be, getting them to talk about and draw on their experience, that's going to be so useful for other business owners in there, hearing what process they went through. It's not coming from your mouth, so it doesn't have to sound like, you're overly promoting yourself. You've got someone here that is going to want to rave about it. And it lets other people, if you can tap other people and sort of say, hey, on Tuesday we're talking about such and such tips or productivity tips or whatever it may be. On Friday we're talking about this. Would love for you to share something if that's all right. Or I know you just did A, B, C, D in your business. Is that okay if I share it on Friday? Something like that, and really kind of getting that networking going. And then you'll see that it'll just start to happen organically as people see that other people are chatting and being talked about. they'll want to be part of it too. It's only natural.
Yeah. No, that's cool. Time for a few more questions. Is good one here. Are there any up and coming social media platforms that people should be looking out for?
It's an interesting one because there always are social media platforms being developed, being looked at. I would say more than that, look at the new features that are coming out in existing big products. So there's things that are being rolling out and being introduced all the time. For example, LinkedIn just introduced video the other week. Facebook groups are still, they're not new, but they're still relatively untapped.
Yeah.
Twitter does different changes all the time. So there's things like that that I would say keep tabs on, because they could be really useful to your business and something that you could utilize. And also just being aware of the full features as well, because a lot of people, use a very small amount of those social media platforms. A lot of people, for example, on a Facebook page, you can actually choose a type of post that is best for the content that you're sharing. If it's a few photos or a single photo or a video, a lot of people will just go in and post as per usual. So there's things like that I would say keep aware of. Keep an eye out for new products. There could be something that say launches in a particular sector that you go, wow, like my clients are going to love this, or my clients are really attracted to this. That could be a game changer for you to be on. There's also things like, WhatsApp's been around for so long, but really only in the last couple of years it's really started to surge. So I'd say don't discount some of the ones that are out there already. There could be, another surge for them. And you never know. Like Snapchat came along and now is very much here to stay, obviously. But that's not to say that Snapchat is a platform for you to use. There could be something that comes along that's very irrelevant as well at the same time.
Yeah, I think focus is really important in marketing, and sort of doing four things badly is, definitely you'd be better focusing on one or two platforms, which honestly, I mean, this would be my opinion, would be for most firms like Facebook and LinkedIn is going to be, where they might go. So like something like Snapchat is very much an edge thing, isn't it? Yeah, it's going to be very specific to
some niche, yeah.
But like, I mean, just generally on the web, things are consolidating, right? When the internet, the web started up, that like diverse sites everywhere, and more people spend more time in the same places, i.e. Facebook, and so I think for good or for bad, it's probably better to focus on those and, like you say, get more out of those than probably spread yourself thin, would be my take on it.
Definitely.
So a couple more questions. How do hashtags work? So that's a good one.
Yeah. So hashtags are that funny little hash symbol, like on the month of marketing we've got before there, that makes a term, like a word or a group of words that can form a term, searchable. It doesn't necessarily mean that you can't search for things within social media, like on Facebook. If you search for a piece of content or a topic, the same on Twitter, you can still get some results, popular results. But a hashtag makes it really searchable, ensures that if you're talking about a certain topic, that other people that are interested in that topic or talking about it can be found. It's really common to be used, say, like at an event or on online discussions. So some companies may run like an online discussion group at a certain time each week, and they'll use a particular hashtag. So everyone that wants to participate, very commonly, this is on Twitter, can have that hashtag up and refresh and comment and add to the dialogue in that way. And it's a nice way of people engaging with people that you're not necessarily connected with. The commonality there is the dialogue, the discussion, and what's going on. And the same at events as well. Like if anyone's been to XeroCon, the hashtag there is very common. It's a nice way to kind of meet and greet and engage and kind of see who you may like to chat to, that you may not necessarily among all those thousands of participants be able to run into face to face. In terms of marketing, and for an accounting firm, if you're starting up something like a chat, or if you're commenting on, say, something that's topical that has a hashtag, absolutely use it. It does make content generally more found, but in saying that, don't overdo it. Don't hashtag everything. It makes it unreadable. Generally, if you've got a word or something that you want to hashtag within a sentence, do it so it still reads like a sentence. Or if you've got something specific and you want to put it afterwards, put it after the sentence, but don't go hashtagging every couple of words. As long as it still makes sense and you can read it without too much distraction, great. As soon as you kind of get over that, not so great.
Yeah.
Hashtags are on Facebook and LinkedIn a bit as well. LinkedIn more on the mobile platform than on desktop at the moment. Facebook, they're there as well, but both of those platforms, they're not traditionally used. You will find that on Twitter more commonly, especially around those conversations and that with the nature of how Twitter is and how that works.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I think can be useful, but definitely not one to overdo, right?
Oh yeah, I've seen some horrors in my time where you can't even sort of make out what they're actually talking about.
Yeah, I've got a mate who's got a small business, and he started trying to do some social media marketing, and he was writing on Facebook the whole paragraph of a post in hashtags. I was like, I don't think you know how this works, but I left him to it. Okay, so
my mum did something similar.
right, yeah. That, I think really good around like events and stuff like that, but I don't think that, I suppose
Absolutely.
adding hashtags in doesn't necessarily make your own content that much better, is the way I think of it. It's just almost like it's good to take part in a discussion, but like by adding a load of hashtags, it's not like you've sort of superpowered a post, right?
No, it's not sort of some hack. It is good for visibility, especially if you're sharing content around a specific topic or industry, say it was software or apps or something like that. Great. You can always, if you're a bit unsure, you can check hashtags, see if they're popular or not. But yeah, I wouldn't say it's be all and end all. You should be adding them to every single post or tweet by any means.
Yeah, cool. So one final question. Can you recommend any good books, training resources for social media for accountants? So I think we already talked about signing up to the blogs of people like Buffer, Hootsuite, Sprout Social. So we'll include some of those links. But were there any, I guess, more like formal courses?
What I would do, so we do a course actually on social media. So that's putting together a content strategy. So if that's the type of style course you're looking for, I would say by us, you and I. In terms of resources, I would recommend and listen to, I think Neil Patel, who's a very famous marketer, he does some great podcasts. I often, I'll go for a walk or go for the gym. They're not just about social media. There are ones that are specifically about social media that I think are great, and he's got some good blogs as well.
Sorry to interrupt. He really fits it into the context of other marketing. I mean, so Neil Patel is one of the sort of most famous internet online marketers that there is. And yeah, I suppose he's one of the people who's known as like growth hackers. So coming up with ways of like really growing your business really quickly through online methods, which some of those are totally unsuitable for accounting and bookkeeping firms.
Absolutely,
and, more for e-commerce business, for apps and stuff like that. But nonetheless, super switched on guy, pretty original thinker. So I definitely recommend it. The good thing about him, he definitely puts it in, because none of this stuff's in a silo, right? You don't just do social or email marketing. You need to do all those things kind of linked together, and I think he gives an amazing big picture of that kind of stuff. Really in-depth content.
And really simple as well. Like he makes it easy to understand, and he does it in bite-sized chunks, which is probably why I like his podcast a lot, because you don't find things that are like 45 minutes long on there. You've got quite often things that are, 12, 15 minutes that it's easy to digest. Shares, 3 points. They've got quite a simple format, really. Introduction, 3 main points, conclusion with a summary, done, on to the next topic. But yeah, I've always really enjoyed them. Social Media Examiner is another really good one that does great blogs, very social specific. They often cover, the up and coming things, new features as well. They do a lot of industry specific stuff. It is very US orientated, but that doesn't diminish the quality of the content. You've just got to take some of the stuff they talk about and some of the examples is realizing that they are directed at a US market. Agora Pulse is another one. They sort of take different sort of like problems or features of social media platforms and do like lots of how-to articles, which are really cool, and they're really easy to follow as well. So if you're kind of thinking about doing something and you can't find quite good content, I would always say they would have it there. Socially Sorted is another good blog as well that does quite a good few things. Probably the only book that I've really enjoyed that's been specifically on social is Guy Kawasaki's book, The Art of Social. It's pretty good. There's some really good takeaways in there, but quite often I would find that there's not stuff just on social. It'll be, because it's not a silo, as you said, it'll be a section in something else. But in terms of kind of getting your how-tos and keeping up with features and platforms and the latest research and trends on the subject, those ones we've mentioned would be your best bets.
Yeah, I found there aren't that many great books on social, possibly because feature-wise, it's been evolving quite a lot, and probably it's going to consolidate more in the next few years. So maybe that
and
changes.
It's so ever-changing. Like if you do something this year, it's going to be out of date in 12 months. Especially if you're talking about post formats and things like that. So I think that's probably why the blog and the podcast format is so popular, because it can just be replaced or recreated so easily.
Yeah, I mean, I remember reading a book called The New Rules of Marketing and PR by David Meerman Scott, which was a massive book at the time, like New York Times bestseller, one of the first books to really sort of bring social media into the kind of attention of mainstream, or was there mainstream marketing? It was definitely an edge thing. But I'm thinking back to that book now. It probably came out 10 years ago, maybe more, and that book will be, most of that stuff will be really out of date. But at the time so I think probably there's online resources are a great place to look. Like I said, we've run a course. Well, Gayatri's run the course through Bizink. We'll be getting that up there again if people want that kind of one-to-one tuition. So we'll let you know about that.
Yeah, absolutely, and I do love doing it. So
yeah, cool. Well, we've got we had some really great feedback from that as well. So we're going to turn that into so we've run that as a kind of what do you call it, like a periodic course, but we're going to get that as a kind of like a permanent fixture. So watch this space, and we'll let you know about that. Well, let's wrap things up there. Thanks to you all for coming along, and Gayatri, thanks very much for your insights there. It's been fantastic.
Thank you for having me again, and thank you to everyone that's joined. It's been fantastic.
Cool. So just to wrap things up, we talked about the marketing support group that Bizink runs. So that's called Bizink Ascend. You can see the link there, and we'll include that in the follow-up email. The final week of month of marketing, so there's a couple more days to win some pretty cool prizes, like a website, a year of blogs, and some coaching from Revolutionary Firm. So you go to monthofmarketing.com prizes, you'll see that. And final session we have is the art of the powerful proposal. So the stream that Revolutionary Firm have been running is about how to sort of package and price your services. And then this final session will be how to pull all that together. We did the sales meeting last week, and this is how to send out a really cool proposal. So that's tomorrow. You can see the times in different places on the screen there. And finally, if you did want to work with Gayatri on your social media, we've got some plans there. The pricing is slightly different in different places, but that's US pricing there. But you can find out more on bizinkonline.com if you're interested in all this stuff, but you'd like a total expert to do it for you. These packages might be up your street. So let's wrap things up there. Thanks again, Gayatri.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you.
No problem. And thanks to you all for coming along. Enjoy the rest of your day.
See ya.
Bye.